and then I'm just going to read you the very first scene or two, depending on how much time we have. For me to read two scenes, they're very short, actually, like me.
You've got 20 minutes.
Oh, piece of cake, unless you guys have something else you want me to do. So here is the synopsis for Chain Reactions. That's the book I'm writing. Yep, that's the one. Some of Diana Lindstrom's fondest memories involve childhood experiments conducted under the watchful supervision of her great-aunt Nora, a celebrated physicist long ago shunned by the family for mysterious reasons. Now in her adult years, and a sought-after scientist herself, Diana learns that Nora is dying. She hires private duty nurse Brooke Sheldon to care for Nora. Over the days and weeks spent in Nora's company, Diana and Brooke are privy to Nora's long-held secrets, along with her deep-seated regrets. Trapped in a failing body, but with a keen mind, Nora Lindstrom watches as the spark of attraction between her great-niece and her caregiver grows into a flame. Determined to help the two younger women find the kind of deep love they so richly deserve, Nora makes a fateful decision that brings the past and present directly onto a collision course. After all this time, it's still about chain reactions. Interested?
Sure.
Want to know more? Chapter 1. The doctor's office smelled of disinfectant and latex, and the protective paper covering the examination table crinkled under her bare legs. Nora Lindstrom tugged at the cloth gown that kept slipping off her shoulder and drew in a wheezing breath. The rattle in her chest sounded loud in the stillness of the space. Why doctors' offices made appointments for patients was beyond her, since they never seemed to keep the schedule. Nora had half a mind to leave, although in truth she had nowhere else she needed to be these days. "You used to be more understanding, old girl," she mumbled. "Old age has made you impatient and priggish." The door opened and the doctor walked in. "Sorry to have kept you waiting, Dr. Lindstrom. Seems everyone picked today to come down with the flu." "How long have we known each other, Daniel? It's Nora. And I was going to scold you for making me late for my disco dance lesson, but I've decided to forgive you." "Disco went out in the 80s, Nora. Hip-hop is all the rage now." "Then you saved me from an indignity, and I should thank you. Hip-hop? I tried to do that once. Broke the darned hip and needed a month in a skilled nursing facility." Daniel smiled at her warmly as he approached with a stethoscope. "Seriously, how kids call that stuff music is beyond me. Then again, I stopped listening to music when the Beatles broke up. I'm glad to see you haven't lost your sense of humor. It's practically all I have left." "I doubt that." He warmed the instrument in his hand. "I'm going to take a listen to your chest. Careful, it might blow out your eardrum." The doctor listened to Nora's heart and lungs as she breathed in and out on cue. When he was done, he wrapped the stethoscope around his neck and sat on a wheeled stool to face her. "You have your serious face on, Daniel." He frowned. "I'm afraid this is serious, Nora." "I know what you're going to say." She held up a shaky hand to forestall his next words. "It's okay. I'm 100 years old, and I'm not afraid of death. I've had a good, long life. Heck, I've outlived everyone I know. About time I went to join them." "You're a marvel, Nora. You teach me more about life every time I see you." "Which is far too often lately, if you ask me," Nora said. "No offense." "None taken." Nora felt the cough bubble up in her chest before it exploded forth, shaking her frail form. When she pulled her hand away from her mouth, it was liberally coated with blood. "Let me get that," Daniel said. His kind eyes reflected concern and sadness as he gently cleaned Nora's hand and around her mouth. "Thank you," she said, the words coming out as a rasp as she struggled to catch her breath. "Have you given more thought to what we talked about last week? You need to have in place both a health care power of attorney and a durable power of attorney." Nora shook her head. "I told you before, I trust you to make the decisions for me. And I told you before, no can do. You must have someone, a granddaughter maybe, who you can trust to make life decisions on your behalf." Nora cast her eyes downward. It had been 35 years since that last heated discussion with her brother and his son-in-law, and his son and daughter-in-law. 35 years since Nora kissed 10-year-old Diana on the forehead as her daddy pried her little fingers off Nora's pant leg. "I'll always be with you in your heart, Diana. Carry me there," Nora whispered. "You can't go. I won't let you," Diana pleaded. "You're my best friend." "I love you, Diana. Always remember that." Nora hadn't been able to stand looking back at the girl's tear-stained face. That was the last time she'd seen her great-niece. More precisely, it was the last time Diana had seen her, Nora corrected herself. After all, she'd continued to keep a watchful eye on Diana from a distance. How would Diana react now if Nora or her lawyer reached out to her and told her Nora was dying and needed her? You want to hear more? Oh, I should keep going? Really? Diana Lindstrom plugged her right ear with a finger and pressed the cell phone tighter against her left ear. This is Diana Lindstrom. Who did you say you were? This is Charles Fitzgerald. I'm the attorney for your great-aunt Nora Lindstrom. Diana was certain she had heard him wrong. Excuse me? Wait, hang on a second. Let me get somewhere quieter. Diana lowered the phone, placed it against her chest, and motioned to her lab assistant to indicate she was leaving. She pushed through the swinging double doors and headed down the hall to her office. Once there, she shrugged out of her lab coat, lowered herself into the desk chair, and pulled the phone back to her ear. Now that's better. I'm sorry to keep you waiting. The centrifuges in the lab are so loud I can't hear myself think. That's not a problem, Dr. Lindstrom. I'm sorry to have disturbed your workday. Tell me one more time who you are? My name is Charles Fitzgerald. I'm the senior partner with the law firm Fitzgerald, Osborne & Chase. We represent your great-aunt, Nora Lindstrom. Diana's eyes narrowed. I don't know who you really are, or what scam you're trying to pull, but my Aunt Nora's been dead for at least 20 years. I'm afraid you've been misinformed, Dr. Lindstrom. I can assure you, Nora's not deceased. In fact, she's the one who asked me to contact you. Could it be? Diana wondered. No, surely her parents and grandfather wouldn't have been so cruel as to lie about something as serious as the death of her beloved great-aunt. Nora recently celebrated her 100th birthday, the lawyer continued. I have to tell you, she's a marvel. She still lives by herself, has all of her mental faculties, and completes the New York Times crossword puzzle every day. If that were true, and I'm not saying it is, Diana said, unwilling to abandon her skepticism quite so easily, why would Aunt Nora wait until now to reach out to me? As I'm bound by attorney-client privilege, that's a question you're going to have to ask Nora herself. If you are so inclined, and I sincerely hope you will be, I have contact details for you. A breath caught in Diana's throat and her heart hammered painfully in her chest. How many times had she wished and longed to talk with Aunt Nora? Aunt Nora wants me to... Diana couldn't even finish the question. She pressed the palm of her hand to her chest to staunch the pain blossoming there as she recalled her father's sneer when he told her the night before grad school graduation that Nora was dead and she should stop expecting her to show up. It was too horrible to think about that right now. Instead, her mind honed in on all the decades of silence before that, all the many instances as a small child she'd begged her parents to explain Nora's disappearance from family gatherings, from family photos, from reminiscences and conversations at reunions. Your Aunt Nora's off doing top secret work out of the country. We're not allowed to contact her. Your Aunt Nora no longer wants to be part of this family. Your Aunt Nora is working for the government and travels constantly. She's made it clear she has no room in her life for the likes of us. She's too focused on her career. The diversity and breadth of explanations, excuses, and prevarications from her parents and grandfather made young Diana's head spin. While she was never sure what to believe, the one thing she knew for certain was that her favorite person in the world, the woman she most admired, had abandoned her childhood self without a backward glance. As I was saying, Diana struggled to focus again. Whether you make the phone call or not, whether you opt to see Nora or not, whether you accept the duties and responsibilities as Nora's healthcare proxy and power of attorney or not, wait, and Nora's designated me as her power of attorney? Me? As I said, that's primarily the reason I'm contacting you today. Yes, Nora finally has been persuaded to get her affairs in order. Why? Is she all right? I'm not at liberty to discuss Nora's medical condition, but I will say this. If I were you, I wouldn't take long to act. Diana tried to digest that bit of information. Nora was taking the extraordinary step to break her silence with Diana. She was filling out end-of-life contingency paperwork, and she obviously was alone. Where is she? Resting at home? Where would that be? Part of Diana's brain urged her not to get sucked in. What if nothing about this turned out to be true? What if all of it's true? Her heart whispered. If you'll provide me with an email address, I'll provide you with all the details. Diana recited her email address and Mr. Fitzgerald read it back to her. Dr. Lindstrom? Yes? On a personal note, I've known your great-aunt for many, many years. She's one of a kind. As Nora's friend, I would advise you to make haste. Whatever you might be thinking or feeling, Nora needs you now. Trust that you have always, always been in her heart. Diana heard the raw emotion in Mr. Fitzgerald's voice. Clearly, Nora was far more to him than simply a client. Diana choked out, "Send me the information, please. I'll take it from there." And that is the beginning.